we're going to be talking about string stuff. We've learned some types recently, and now that we have string as a type, there's a bunch of cool things we can do with it. So yeah, I mean, let's hop straight into it. There are basically two major things that I want to show in this, and I think I'll also just go straight to an example that I just created. Might make a long video, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So we've got a string, right? Maybe let's say like our string is word is equal to bird, right? And we can loop over this by saying, all right, for each letter in bird, in really the word, and what this will do is it'll go through every letter in the variable word, and you can do whatever you want with that, right? Maybe we want to count, maybe we'll set a counter like, I don't know, B counter. And we can set that equal to 0 to start. And then for each letter in word, we're going to check if the letter is equal to B. We could even say, or the letter is equal to capital B. We want to get crazy. We'll add 1 to the B counter, right? So set itself equal to 1 plus what it used to be. And then at the end, we can print there are B counter. Oh, and we'll have to turn this into a string because B counter is currently a string. B's in your word. And so we run this now. I run this. And it will print out, right, there's nothing visual there. There are 1 B's in your word, because the word was bird. If we switch this to baby, now it will run over the entire string, and it's going to say, hey, there's 2 B's in your word. Because we checked each letter in the word, so went to B, counted 1, A wasn't it, counted that second B, and then Y. So that's one way to loop over strings. Now there is another thing that you can do with strings, and we'll see another way to loop over that as well. This is called indexing of strings, and we're going to see lists in the next unit, and we're going to see a lot more about indexing. So consider this a little introduction to that. If you want to get a particular spot in a string, what you can do is we can check the letter and set that equal to our word at, and then some index, some number. The way that it goes is we always like starting at 0, so the first letter is at index 0. So this B would be index 0. The second letter is at index 1, then 2, and so on and so forth. So I set letter equal to the word at index 0, and then I try to print out, I just print out the letter. What it'll do now is it'll print out why is it printing a Y? The word at 0, it should be here. Let me try it at 3. Is it going backwards or something? Nope, it's always just Y. Okay, we got a thing going on here where we got letter going through word. Let's make a unique variable here. That's probably our problem. We'll say my letter, which is not really a better name, but it's going to work. My letter. And so now, well, it's still Y, but that's fine because we're index 0, 1, 2, 3. At index 3, it should be a Y. But this time now, if we say my letter is the letter from word at index 0, now we'll get that B. Okay, and then the last thing is the introduction part before we see an example of this is now instead of just going over every letter in the word, sometimes you might want to loop through the indices or the indexes of that word. And so this is a way you can do that. You can say for I in, and now ready, we're going to say range, and then the range of that will be the length of the word. So len will give you the length of that string, and then I do the range of that length. It'll start I at 0 and go till the length of that, excluding the last number. But because the length, like baby, would be length 4, it will go up to 4, but not including 4. Starting at 0, it'll still get us 4 letters. And because it starts at 0, that matches with our indices from before, where we say, hey, it starts at 0. If I want to get letter 1, at index 1, it'll actually be the second letter because it's 0, and then index 1 is the A. So I run this now. Again, by the way, with index at 1, we see the A there. Okay, so that's the new stuff about strings and a way to loop along it where we go through each letter in the word but getting the index it's at as opposed to getting the letter, one letter at a time. That's the new stuff. And I think we're short enough that I can do this all in one big example. So we'll see the example after seeing it right here, right now. I made a little program here. I called it Wheel of Fortune. I have no comments. I'm sorry about that. And it's, I think, a pretty cool program. And it's very similar to one of their examples they give in, what are we on, 9.3.1 or something like that right now? 9.3.1, yeah. Okay, so if I run this, the user, just ignore the code over here where we know the hidden phrase is Hotel California. The user sees this over here, and I can click on a button to guess the letter or guess a phrase. So I'll guess a letter. When I click on that, a pop-up will come up, say input a single letter to guess. And I'm going to input maybe O. And then I'll hit OK. And then what it does is it'll be like, oh, there's an O over there. There's an O over there. I can guess another letter. And maybe I'll put a C. And then it'll be like, all right, well, there's a C over there. I also have a button where I can guess the phrase, where I can say, hey, I'm going to check, maybe hotel is that first word. I'm metagaming, right? I already know what the answer is. And it'll say, yeah, that's part of it. Guess some more letters. Maybe if I just guess some gibberish, it'll be like, not even close, guess some more letters. And then maybe I get close enough, I'm going to be like, I know that this is Hotel California. And then it will be like, congrats, you got it. It'll end the program, and it'll reveal the rest of the word. And yeah, so that's the program. And let's see how we can how to make that program. We had to use a little bit of the things that we learned over here. So first what I did, and it's a little confusing, so just bear with me. I made a phrase called, let me remaximize this. There we go. Okay. I made a phrase called Hotel California. If I wanted to make this better, I'm sure there's a way to dynamically do it where you can get input from the user to then have them be able to create a phrase, then turn the screen around and have their friend guess. But I didn't do that because it would have been harder. I made my letter button, guess letter. I made my phrase button, says guess phrase. And then I made a message, which is that kind of message at the bottom after they guess a phrase. Be like, hey, you got it, or whatever. I also made some blanks. And then after I made the phrase and the blanks, I made a revealed label. That's not really, I guess, I don't know. I should just call it like main label or hidden label or something. I don't know. And it's a label holding onto the value of the phrase, but the fill is white. I also use monospace for all of my labels here, just so that it's consistent spacing for all of the letters, which will be useful later on. Next, I have on mouse press, and I check to see if the letter button hits the XY coordinate. Well, then I'm going to do the work to guess a letter. So first, I'll store inside of a variable called letter the input that the user types in. So, I'm telling them to type in a single letter. We're just assuming that the user is going to follow the rules and only type in a single letter. And then what I do is I use that looping over a string idea where I say, all right, over a string using the indices. So I For I use for I in range, which is the length of the phrase, which is, our hidden phrase over here. What I'll do is I'll check to see if the phrase at index I is equal to the letter that they guessed. And then I kind of took this idea from their thing, from the example they have in this lesson, where I make a new label that I'm not going to hold on to in a variable, and I set it equal to that letter. And I just did some magic number math where I was like, all right, let me see. It's over here. This, I checked my mouse size. It's at 60. And then because I'm at size 30 and we're monospaced, I can do 18 times I to make sure I'm going the right amount of space between each letter. And I will put that letter there. And since it's looping over the entire word, if I guess a letter that's in multiple places in between the different phrases, since I'm looping here, it will highlight every single one of those letters. And so that's how we get that letter part working. That's how we get if I guess letters, I can guess O, it'll make the O's. If I guess I, it'll make the I's. That's doing that part. Next, I check, all right, if the phrase button hits where I clicked my mouse X and mouse Y, we're going to do store in phrase, getting the text input, they're actually going to type in a whole thing. And then here, I just check to see if the phrase that they typed in is equal to the phrase, maybe I should call it hidden phrase. We'll set the message.value to congrats, you got it. We'll set the revealed labels fill to red so it's not hidden anymore. And we'll stop the app. We're done. Here I check, and here's a new thing that I don't think I talked about before. I check to see if the phrase we typed is in the phrase. And what this will do, it's going to check if the order of letters is in that particular order, somewhere found in that hidden phrase, then that returns true. So I'll give an example of that right now. And so then that, if that is true, you got part of it, it'll say that's part of it, guess some more letters. And then otherwise, if you didn't guess the whole thing or part of it, it'll just say, hey, not even close, guess some more letters. So to show an example of how that works, I can try guessing the phrase, and I could maybe type in California. And since this collection of letters is in the bigger the phrase, Hotel California, when I check that, it'll say that's part of it, guess some more letters, because California, that phrase that we typed in, is inside of the phrase, but it's not exactly equal to the entire phrase. It doesn't even need to be a full word. If I guess the phrase and I say Cali, that is still in there. That's part of it, guess some more letters. I could even do something weird where it's like Hotel California. I could do like L space C. I don't know why I'd guess that as a phrase, and that is still technically part of it, guess some more letters. But if I do like hotel and then the or something and then run it, it's going to be like not even close, because even though hotel is this first part, it's checking the whole thing, and since there's no space the for the next parts over there, is not happy with that. So yeah, nice little introduction to some things that we can do. These indexes will become very important in Unit 10. And you can just make a cool little Wheel of Fortune program here, just doing something like that with this new string vocabulary that we got here. I recommend, if you're interested in this, maybe trying to not just have the phrase kind of hard-coded in there, but have the user, have one person type it in, and then they spin the screen around and have the other player guess for them. You could maybe make a hangman game similar to this as well if you wanted to. Just cool little program you can make using that. Anyways, hope you got something out of that. Peace out. I'll see you next time.